What's up, homies? Welcome back to Agents After Hours. Our podcast is for the agents who want to talk about parts of this industry no one wants to say out loud.
We're Erica,
And Paige.
and we're here to bring you unfiltered, unapologetically honest real estate talk. So pour a drink, take a breath, and let's dive in, baby.
Whoop, whoop.
Okay, so today's guests are two people that I am genuinely excited to have on the podcast because every single time I leave their presence, I feel like a better human. Diego and Malu are the kind of people who naturally inspire you. They're uplifting, fearless, and constantly pushing boundaries in both business and life. From flipping house together as husband and wife to mentoring others, creating content, and building multiple streams of impact while raising a beautiful family, they truly embody what it means to grow with purpose. Their energy is contagious, and I know that this conversation is going to leave us all feeling so inspired. So welcome to Agents After Hours podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, for people meeting you for the first time, how would you describe what you guys do on a daily basis?
Well, I can describe myself as I am a real estate investor and I turn undervalued properties into profitable assets.
Nice.
That's like nice and very compact. And I think that you do like a really good job of that. What about you, Malu?
Well, I like to describe us as a team, a couple who works together as real estate investors and who are breaking, like the norm. A lot of people don't think that, you should work as a couple. A lot of people, it's like she stays at home and takes care of the kids and I run the business. And so we're kind of working to break that.
I think that's really cool because I also work with my husband and so does Erica. So, like, we all have that perspective of working with each other's spouses. So, did you guys always imagine building a business together as a couple?
Yeah.
Yes.
So when you guys like very first met, first of all, you guys were very young when you got together, right?
Not super young, no.
Not super young.
Well,
Okay.
yes. Well, I was 23.
Now it's 25.
Yeah.
That's young.
Yeah. We were
I
No.
think that's really young.
we were-
I guess I think as young, like, I don't know.
High
Like in your
school
teens or something.
Yeah.
teens, yeah.
Did either
That
one
makes
of you guys already have that entrepreneurial spark in you, or both of you? Or did you have to like
You want to answer
bring it
that?
out?
I did. I would say more than Diego. Diego was more of we're both Mexicans, so the more of the traditional Mexican way of working hard. And me, I've always knew that I wanted to do something since I was younger. Like I was a type to start something all the time.
I
Mhm.
love that. Did you grow up around entrepreneurs or anything like that, or family members?
Yeah, so in Mexico, my grandma had her own store. It was very common to have a store connected to your house. So, yeah. So, I had that, and then my parents, they own real estate in Mexico. So they have a lot of acres of land. So real estate has actually always been part of me.
I love
That's
that.
really cool. I didn't know that. Real estate works so different in Mexico, I'm sure, which I would like to like learn about that because I've seen people getting into like investing in different parts on the beach and stuff. And I was like, ooh, that would be really cool. But I like what you said because Eris and I were very similar in dynamic where I was just kind of a big dreamer. I've always been a really big dreamer and I wanted to, I didn't know what, but like, I don't know if I ever told you this, Paige, but like I tried selling stuff back in the day, like the wraps. Like I was very into just like, I wanted to sell things and I did.
It works.
Yeah, I did that and I made a little bit of cash and I always felt like there was something that I wanted to do but I couldn't figure out what, and that's why I feel like what we're doing now is a really great fit. But when I met Aris, he was also very like gonna retire from his job, work there forever, and I had to just kind of, I don't know, now he just sees things so differently and I think it's really cool to like see that in someone like develop over time.
Yeah, I think that's really typical, especially for us, the way that we grew up, the way that we were taught, work hard and eventually when you get to 65, you get to retire. And I think that that way of life right now, it's not the norm anymore, and we're breaking through those things.
It's not healthy either. I feel like grinding day in and day out on the same thing at a 9 to 5, like that's just, there's so much more to life than that.
Absolutely. But like taking the risk and doing something like that, I'm going off the script a little bit, but like, did your parents and your families have doubt at first in like what you guys were doing?
Did they what? I'm sorry.
Did they have doubt? For example, like when I was like, "Hey, I'm quitting my job," that actually brought me some stability to go into real estate. I got a lot of pushback from my mom specifically, and some of my family, like, "Oh, it's up and down, you never know." Like, I don't know, just a lot of pushback and negativity, and I didn't know if your family was the same because they kind of brought you up in a different way.
Yeah, for me, for sure. I scale, I scale on the 9 to 5. I went all the way to the top to be in a corporate job, and I was already stable. I was making good money. I was doing sales for a company around here. And obviously when I share that with my parents, there's always that hey, you already have a stable job, you're making money. Why would you want to go and venture something new? So yes, I believe fear. I think yeah, it's just fear. Fear
Mhm.
for us, to protect me, protect our family, than to, going into something to the unknown.
I didn't have that. We had different experience when it comes to family. We've always had the support like 100% on my side. Actually, my dad is one of our biggest investors that works with
Wow,
us from day one. So,
that's incredible.
yeah.
That is really cool, I didn't know that.
So, do you guys only do this? You guys are only flipping houses? Or do you
Yeah,
guys
right now, yes, we went like full this year. We went
full time?
full time doing flips. We have other streams of income, but the
Yeah.
mainstream is flipping houses for sure.
How long were you flipping houses before you made it full time?
We were four
4 years.
years, 4 years into it when
Wow.
we first decided to go, full time into real estate.
Well, let me phrase that a little bit. I was basically full time right away because I left my job during COVID, and
Okay.
then he continued. And during COVID is when this all started, right? That we were like, we
Yes.
need to do something.
Yeah.
Nothing is promised. We need to have our own thing. And so I pretty much, since we started the business, I have been, full. He was obviously still keeping his 9 to 5 because obviously that was our source that was coming in of
Yeah.
income and fear, obviously. But he left in November of 2025
Mm.
was when he
Oh,
left.
wow.
So this is our first full year,
Yeah.
his first full year, but our first full year as a couple doing it, the business 24/7 pretty much.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love that.
Congratulations. I know
Thank
I've
you.
Right.
said that, but congratulations, like, that's such a huge step.
I
Thank
think
you.
it's always the wives that are like pulling the husbands, like, leave that 9 to 5. Come on. Like, let's go over here. I love that so much.
That's
Yeah.
how it was with you and Brandon also.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. He
Mhm.
was working car dealership, which is 6 days a week, 6 to 6, essentially, has to work weekends. And finally, in June of 2019, after he'd been in the business for about 15 years, I was like, we're done here. Like, I can't keep raising these kids all by myself. I'm going to need you to come and work with me. So, and speaking
Nice.
of kids, you guys have kids too, yes?
Yes.
How
We
many do
got
you guys have?
four. We have 4 kids. We got 2 boys, 2 girls.
So I bet it's nice to have a little bit more flexibility. We say flexibility. I mean, we kind of all do like self-employment. We all make our own schedules, but like really we're at the mercy of our clients at the same time. But it's kind of nice to have that flexibility when you have kids for sure. I love that. That's awesome.
So one of the questions I had on here, I think we kind of touched on, but the work ethic was something that you learned at home. Like your parents kind of taught you how to work hard and all of that, but just in a different aspect, right? More like go to work, do your thing, and then like you said, eventually it pays off. So looking back, do you think that you can trace any part of your success now to lessons that you learned earlier in life?
For me, yes. So, like she said, I grew up in Mexico, all the way until I was 16 years old. That's when I came to the U.S. And my mom was a single mom, so she had me when she was 15 years old. So she had to, go to work and go to school at the same time. So early on in my life, I remember since I think I was 8 years old. I was taught to go to work, to go on the bus, go to work, and come back. And I think early on that helped me a lot, now in my venture as an entrepreneur, to develop that work ethic that I feel like it's been paid off because of all the time that I had to help mom, and work.
So you started working when you were 8 years old.
Yes.
It's
Wow.
wild.
Yeah.
What were you doing at 8?
Well, so my mom used to work for a restaurant,
Uh-huh.
okay? And I remember it was a really nice restaurant. I remember going into the bathrooms, cleaning the bathrooms and handing towels to the man, to clean their hands. And I used to get, like 1 peso, 2 pesos. And, I was not making a lot of money, but I was making something. So
Yeah.
that helped. I think that developed that work ethic since I was really young.
That's
That's
incredible.
crazy. My nephew and my niece are around that age, and just imagining them like trying to go to work is crazy. Because I when they were staying with us last summer, I had to bribe them. I'm like, "Can you take the dogs out? I'll give you $2. Can you do this? I'll give you $2." So the fact that you had to like report to a job is wild. That's really really cool.
Hazley would never. My 9-year-old daughter, she would never.
I wouldn't let my kid walk to the store by himself at 8, and there he was riding the bus on his own to get to work. But I don't think, yeah, it's different. Like I didn't grow up in Mexico, but I did spend my summers in Mexico, and I know I did a lot of walking on my own too, from one grandparent's house to another. And I think about it now, I would not let my child do that. But times are different, obviously. Also, because my grandma had a store and she would sell things at her store. I remember also around 8 or 9, about second or third grade, I would buy a big bag of Mexican candy from Mexico. I would take it to school and I would resell it. And I would actually I would make more than, I don't know, I would make a lot, honestly, because I don't even know how I thought about this at that age, but I would take, the little boxes where you put your fishes, whatever you call it, where your
Like
fish is
a fish
like
tank.
yeah, but the little ones, have you seen the little box ones? I don't know
Oh,
if they
yeah,
have
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
just a little small one to keep it, to take it home or whatever. I would take those. It was a clear one, and I would put the lollipops there, and then I would set them on a table so it was visible for people to see. And then once people would show up to the table and they'd like start asking, like, "Oh my God, whose is these?" I would go up and I would say, "They're mine, and I'm selling them for 50 cents if you would like one." And so I was starting to make money until, they told on me because you're not allowed to sell at school. But
Ridiculous.
yeah, but
So rude.
I know. That's how I started my entrepreneurship, I think, since I was little. I think it's always just been in me.
I love that. My
I
kids
do
do the same
too.
thing now. They steal our granola bars and try to sell them at school, and I'm like, "Those are mine. I bought
Yeah.
those. Stop taking my granola bars."
The
Cool
funniest part,
concept, though.
it's that you had them sitting there, so like people would ask you about them, and then like you reeled
That
them
was a
in, and then you're
strategy.
like,
Yeah.
"You can have one, but you got to pay me for it." That's awesome.
So, as a husband and wife, how's it like working together? Like, do you guys bump heads often, or do you guys like flow well together?
Well, there's days, I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes it is difficult, and
Yeah.
then as entrepreneurs, I think is hard to stop. Like we don't know when we haven't learned how to
We
set
have not.
boundaries,
Not yet.
and I think that we need to learn that. We need to learn how to set boundaries, when to talk about work and when not to talk about work, because we're always talking about work.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we bump heads a lot. I
Yeah.
think that we work well together. Well, I mean, I guess that's what I can say. I don't know.
Uh, I mean, things could be stressful because sometimes, like, I have to remind him, like, not to be a boss to me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He's a natural leader.
I love that.
Naturally, he was born a leader. So anything that he does, he's got that leadership skill. But I do have to remind him, like, hey, you're not my boss. We're working together. We're on the
Right.
same team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty
I do
common.
get really demanding at times.
Yeah.
I do get really demanding, yeah. And
You
that
got to get
sometimes,
stuff done.
yeah, you gotta get shit done. And
It comes off the wrong way sometimes.
I feel like that's
funny.
more me and Paige in our roles. I feel like I get very demanding when it comes to work. Like if it's outside of that, I'm not as much of a leader. I kind of just want to hang out and do whatever. But like when it comes to work, I'm like, I need this immediately. I don't know. I feel like I'm more of the boss in that way, and I need to chill out because I don't know. I don't know if I'm a control freak or I just want things done like a certain way, but then it just makes it easier. Like especially if we're like sharing a client or something, then I can just go and I already know it's done the way that I need it to be done. So I also need to work on that because when I do get in very focus mode, it's just like I sound very snappy. So I'm very curious about that. But like also when it comes to turning off work, I would love to see how you guys do that because I struggle with that big time.
Yeah, so like I'm a little bit more like chill, I guess. And Diego is like, hey, do it now. So like, let's say he gives you something to do and then he'll call me or text me in 5 minutes to see if it was done. And then it's not. I'm like, you just gave it to me. And he's like, what?
not 5 minutes.
Well, it feels like 5 minutes to me. And it's like, well, why didn't you do it? And I'm like, I don't know, because I'm tackling like the 20 other things you gave me 10, 15 minutes ago, So 'cause
I
I
can
do a
relate
lot
to
of
that.
things at home. So,
Yeah.
I do a lot of the computer work, a lot of the books, a lot of the looking for properties, talking to, Erica and her husband, talking to the title companies if I need to. I do a lot of that stuff. Getting deeds, it's like, hey, do I have my deed already? I'm like, well, I emailed them. They haven't answered me. Well, why not? Well, dude, they work too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely. I mean, I give a lot of praise to Malu because she helps me a lot, and I think that without the help of her, it would have been impossible. I mean, you guys know. I mean, you guys are into the business, and there's a lot of things that you got to get done to come to the closing table. Right? So, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
kudos to you because I mean,
Thank
she's
you.
gotta do the back end work, and she's got to deal with the kids. So.
Yeah.
Right, because I'm at home, so the kids are here still, so it's like I have to work. I have to be a
Yeah.
mom and then be my own boss.
Yeah.
How is that
That
going for
oh, there.
you? Like, do you have boundaries with that or like set times that you try to like focus on work during that?
No, I don't set times. I think I should. It's been hard. I still breastfeed my baby, so it's hard.
Oh, that's challenging.
Yeah.
My youngest is 9, so, like and I haven't had to deal with little kids in probably, like, 8 years. Yeah, about that in this business, and it was always a challenge. It's a wild circus at my house too. I don't set times or boundaries either. It's like, "Okay, I'm gonna do this real quick. Oh, you need a snack? Okay, hold on. Let me finish this like, it's the same way. We're chaos over here too. So, I do have so many questions, though, about the flip side, and I know, Erica, you sent some questions, but
Oh, go ahead.
I it intrigues me. Like, flipping houses really intrigues me. I've done short-term rentals, I've done long-term rentals. I don't like them. I don't like that aspect of it, and someone's like, "Well, you gotta invest in real estate to, like, for longevity, like, when I retire, having something to fall back on that's, like, a different stream of income." And flipping has always been something that's intriguing to me. How do you guys find your houses? Like, do you just use Erica, or do you use, like, share of sale sites too?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of multiple ways that we find our properties. Obviously, one is making the connections with our agents. I think all, not just Erica. I mean, we love to work with Erica and our A's, but I think early on we understood that this is a business of making connections. The more connections you have, the more opportunities you're gonna create for yourself. But yes, through real estate agents, through the foreclosures, we do our own marketing as well. So that's another way that we find our properties. Facebook market. I mean, we're always using social
Sellers.
media, wholesalers, but I think that the biggest thing is right now is social media. Whoever is out there doing any kind of business and it's not using social media, I mean, you're just behind.
I would agree.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we just even word of mouth, people that know that we're already in the business, they'll be like, "Hey, this person has this property," and we connect. We
Yeah.
connect with them, and we can get like that. But for the most part, I think that most of our properties have been through agents, correct?
Yes, and market
Nice.
as well, MLS, we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
still find good deals in the MLS, for sure.
So, when you visit a property for the first time, like, what are some deciding factors if you wanna move forward with it or not?
For sure, numbers, this is a game of numbers,
Mhm.
and if
Yeah.
numbers don't make sense, you can give it to me like half, 50 cents on the dollar, but I'm not gonna buy it if the numbers don't make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that I look at, numbers, then location, that would be my second thing to look at, location. For you?
What about it? Go
The
ahead.
same. No,
Yeah.
the same. I mean,
How
we
much
learn.
work are you guys willing to take on? Like, if a house needs to be studded or, like, ripped down to the studs, like, is that something that you guys are comfortable doing if the numbers make sense?
That's
Yes.
Yeah, we have a lot of experience in that.
Yeah, we have bought a lot of properties that we gotta bring them down to the studs, but at the end of the numbers make sense. I mean, that's totally fine. We can take projects like that.
Do you guys do the work or do you guys contract it out?
Uh, Ever since I was working my 9 to 5, everything was contracted,
Yeah.
subcontracted until today. But now I'm learning more. I'm getting my hands dirty, to learn more the ins and outs of the flip. Because if you're in the business, you want to learn all the ins and outs. So I
Yeah.
learned the financial side of the
Mhm.
business. Now I'm learning the in and out, the physical work. That's what I'm learning right now.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
right now we're in the season of him, yeah, being actually hands-on. And we're learning if we have been, what do you call it, like overcharged, really.
Right.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I want to get my hands on because I want to know what it takes, right? And if I was getting overcharged or if it was just, the market. So learning the ins and outs, that would give me a better overview of the project, I think, as well.
That's a
That's
really good point. I we were recently walking through one of our rental house, and we got some crazy number thrown at us. And right before he told us the number, one of the things he said was like, "Oh, well, you guys are rich." First of all, no, but second of all, that is already putting in my head, you're going to overcharge me for this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I don't know what it costs to do
Yeah.
that kind of work. And so that just rubbed me the wrong way in the first place. I was like, what an odd thing to say. I only knew,
Right.
but you really don't, like, especially if it's like a lump sum, like somebody's just walking through and it's like, okay, I'll charge you 30 grand to do this. Like, where is that going? I think that's where I would want to see like itemized. Do you get like itemized things from your contractors, or do you have to just kind of take their word, or how do you handle that?
I think that there's a lot of learning to do, with the contractors.
Yeah.
All contractors actually do a scope of works. Not every contractors like break down, the cost of things. They just don't. I mean, or I haven't experienced a contractor that is actually detail on
Hmm.
things. And that's something that, us as the consumers, us as the one contracting the work, I think that we have to ask for that. If we don't ask for that, if we don't really put it out there for contractors, we're never gonna get that from them.
Hmm.
I think
So
my biggest fear would be like walking through a contractor's work and being like, okay, that's not up to my standards, and having that backbone to be like, okay, you need to fix that now. Like, how hands on are you in the process where so that doesn't happen?
A lot. And we had a lot of experience where it was not to our standards, and we had to
Yeah.
tell our contractors, hey, this wasn't done the way that we asked you to get it done, or he did it the way that he was easier for him. And I was like, hey, that was not what it was expected from you. And we I think that's something that I learned throughout my career with the corporate job leadership. And I think that when you learn how to deal with people, a lot of things can be done the right way, right? And that's something that I was able to manage. And I was able to talk to contractors and explain my point of things so they can see it through my eyes. It was not just me getting my way, but it was like, okay, how do I explain it to you that, it's the end product that I'm going to present to an end buyer? Because it's
Yeah.
mhm.
difficult for a contractor to see with the eyes of a buyer?
And that makes a big difference, but I mean, I think that you can tell also. I mean, we go in flips all day long, and that's something I told you, like you guys from the very beginning. It's like your work stands out. Like what you put out there, it stands out, and we've gotten great feedback on that from people because they're not used to seeing that, because a lot of times it's quick. And I think one of the biggest difference is, like, obviously quality is a big thing for you guys, but like when you have people doing like 20, 30 flips at a time, they are shit. Like, what you guys are doing is what we need, someone with care. And I know that Malu's not gonna let crap fly. She's gonna say, hey, you need to fix this, or like, hey, how is this? So I think that that's really, really cool.
Well, at the end of the day, I think that we have a business to run, and we're in the business to make money. But at the end, I think that
We
we
put
want to provide a good quality
Yeah,
product
well,
for the
we
end
put
buyer.
we put ourselves as if we were going to be buying
Right.
the
Hmm.
property. And I think a lot about or we think a lot about the end buyer, but especially me when it comes to my part in my role, when it comes to like colors and cabinets and bathrooms and fixtures. But I do think that a lot of those extra things that we put to make it look nice just reduce like our end profit. But when we say if we're making what we're looking for, which is at least what, 30%, then we're okay.
That's interesting. Because you guys care about the buyer so much and the finished product, which, like Erica said, isn't common, what do you feel like your bandwidth is? How many flips per year do you think you guys could take?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
I guess we've never, I mean, we have like goals that we have set. So I guess we should say 12 if it's one a month, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that. What was
But
the year that you've done the most, or how much do you get what I'm saying? Like, in
Yeah.
1 year, what's the most you've done? Sorry.
7. We have done 7. That has been the most in 1 year.
so you're almost to your goal.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
But do you feel like as you go, you obviously find like a team that's like solid, where you can kind of pick like, okay, this is the person I want to do this. And have you found like that solid team yet, or are you still building it?
We're still
We're
building it.
still building it. I mean, because one, it's difficult to retain people, okay? Because everybody wants to get paid good, and
Yeah.
we understand, we understand that. But it's hard to keep good people that have a good working ethic. It's
Yeah.
just
Hmm.
difficult.
I mean, we've had even like how you mentioned that a contractor said to you, "You're rich." We had a contractor also be like, "Oh, well, stay with your mansion and with this and that." Like if, yeah, like if we were already big investors that were, working on super mega high end houses. But
That irritates me so much when people assume maybe we're not rich, maybe we just manage our money better. Like, I don't know.
Well,
Like,
we're
or we
not.
invest it. Exactly. But like, I just,
I
what
would
a
like to say
weird thing to say.
we are rich though.
I love that. Regardless, someone shouldn't be price gouging you for that simple fact. Like, I don't know. That would irritate me. Erica, how you didn't
Yeah.
come unglued, I don't know. But
No, and I'm just speaking that way because we know a lot more now about mindset and we like to speak into existence,
I love that.
our future. So we don't no longer want to say like, oh, we don't have any money or we're poor or whatever. No, we're millionaires.
Hmm. Hmm.
I
Heck
love
yeah.
that. We're speaking it into existence.
It works.
Yeah.
It works. It works. I had another question, but I lost it. Oh, you were talking about, okay, 30%. So can you just kind of run us through really quickly, like what would make sense for you? Because obviously we could come across little flips that, you might make 20 grand for them, but that's not something at this point that you're going to really take your time to do. Is that right?
Well, we always targeting 30%. That's how we define a deal, right?
Mhm.
If we are gonna put money to work, it's gotta give us 30% back return. Now if we find situations where we're gonna do less work and we're gonna make 20%, 15%, but we're only when and I don't know, did
Painting.
a uplifting. We can always things we can always take things like that,
Hmm.
but our target is always 30% on the money that we invest.
Okay. So would it make sense for you to do like a gut and maybe an area that's not great and only make like 20K from it? That wouldn't really be something that would interest you as much. Unless
Yeah.
you would be interested in that profit if the work wasn't as extensive. Is that
Yes.
is that right? Okay. That's interesting.
Yep.
That's really good to know.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And obviously this was trial and error for us in the last 5 years. I mean, this is gonna be our 6th year as being in real estate. And at the beginning, yeah, we may have fully gutted a property and then we're like once we, got it closed and we're like, oh, that was not worth it, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I share how we started though. So
Yeah.
when we first did our first flip, it was a condo, okay, which is it's very, very uncommon for people that is in the flipping industry to flip condos, okay? But that was an opportunity that it was, I want to say God give it to us because it was really a cosmetic. It was a cosmetic flip. We went in, we used our own money, and that's when we learned as well how to use OPM. We went in, we bought the property, we used our own money, and then I think we put like $15,000 into the property and we sold it for 158. At the end, we profited like 15,000 on that flip. And I was like, oh my God, for me, that was a switch. Never ever in my life have had made so much money in like 2.5 months. So that
Yeah.
was like the property that flipped the switch for me. Now, the second project that we bought, it was a complete gutted project where we had the knowledge, but we didn't have the experience, and that's where we lost $50,000. Our
Mhm.
second project.
Do you want to share the story?
For sure.
Yes, we didn't know any contractors, so it's just kind of one of those things where you go on Facebook and we're looking, and people put bids or whatever you call it. And we went with somebody who he did take us to his work site and the work that he was doing, and we liked how he was doing the work, which was on a lake house, and the job seemed like okay, he's doing a good job, it looked great. Okay, we brought him on board. But our first mistake is not to just to trust and not have it into writing. Okay. We trusted, he was Hispanic, we're Hispanic. So we took his word from it. And little things started to like come up and we let it slide way too many times until it got to the point where he stole $50,000 from us. When it came to material, time, what do you call it? Tools and work that was undone, and he was paid upfront,
upfront.
which was our mistake.
Mm,
That's something that we like now do. Like every time that we're working with the contractors, we don't pay upfront. We pay for work that it's done. That
Oh.
way, hey, you did the work, we gonna pay you for the work you did, but nothing upfront. So why? Because we learned that any contractor out there that is really established and have their business established the right way, they have the funds, to be able to fund their projects and to pay their people. That to me is somebody that actually has a structure in their business. But somebody that it is asking you upfront money to do a project, I think where I can see a red flag, and that's something that we
mhm.
learned early on that we were paying him upfront. And because the project was about an hour away from home, that is the reason why we were not keeping in touch a lot with the project, that we didn't realize
And you
the
were
work,
still working, obviously.
and that's that we don't realize the work wasn't getting done.
Yeah. And Erica, one of your questions that you had for us was what has been your biggest business lesson so far, was one of your questions. And that was one of the biggest lessons, was that we didn't have anything on paper with him. We trusted.
Uh-huh.
We
Mhm.
trusted the contractor, and it became a failure to us, but it was a lesson that we learned. It was an experience. We got a whole bunch of experience from that project, and we now know that this lesson, now we know, get everything on paper. We need a scope of work. We're gonna pay you, up front. And I mean, it sounds kind of sucky to say, but like now we don't just like trust people or contractors, or in general. Not like
Oh,
that we
don't
don't
blame
trust
you.
them, but we we don't just trust without having it in writing, is what I'm trying to say.
I get what you're saying.
Well, the fact that you even like got up and read and did it again is like kudos to you, because that would probably be enough to knock me on my ass to just be like, I can't do this.
Yeah, well, actually, that was the reason why it pushes to went and look for mentors. Somebody that already was being successful in the business, somebody that already was doing it at a bigger scale. And I think that was like for us, if that wouldn't have never happened, I think I would have like just like YouTube everything.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
because of that experience, I think that pushes us and that get us out of our comfort zones
Yeah.
to go and actually look for mentors and actually invest in ourselves to learn more about the business.
Yeah, so till now, to this day, we have invested over 80,000 in mentorships for us to learn. And this is why we teach others now, so that hopefully prevent them from losing 50,000 or more on their first project.
Yeah. So my big advice for anybody out there that wants to get into any businesses, get a mentor. Get a
Uh-huh.
mentor, invest in yourself, and don't just YouTube things.
Well, I think that's really important to say. Well, first of all, you guys definitely inspired us to go get our first coach, because like just seeing everything that you guys do, because you guys even get mentorships out of the country and things like that, which is
Yeah.
freaking awesome. They're all over the place.
That's so cool.
It is so cool. But then at the same time, I completely forgot I was going to say, oh, yeah, you can. I feel like the problem with YouTube is like when you're doing a mentorship or you're paying and you're there, first of all, you have skin in the game, right? Because you just spent a crap ton of money. So I'm going to do what you're telling me to do. I'm going to be held accountable. But also, you're getting information from one person rather than 50 different ways how to do something. And that's where I personally really struggle. It's like, okay, do I do this? Do I do this? Do I do this? But if I'm following one agenda, it makes it way more productive, I guess.
Yeah.
Bigger return on investment.
Yeah.
So I have talked about, kind of going back to what you said about your second flip. My husband and I, we have not worked with investors very often. And we decided to take one on 2 years ago. And they were from California. And we were also like their project manager. It was a great house, a great opportunity. Um, they had ended up with 3 different contractors in there because they were not doing the work. And it was, like you said, you were an hour away from home. Like, we were supposed to be boots on the ground, eyes for them. And they never listened to us when we're like, I don't think this contractor's doing it right. They're like, oh, well, the contractor said this. And they kind of discredited my husband and I.
Mm.
And I'm just like, you have us, you're paying me to tell you these things. We're partnering together to tell you these things. And I think that they lost a lot. Like, they went through 3 different contractors. They paid the first 2 up front, which why they didn't learn their lesson after the first one. But regardless, and I think they're done. I think it kicked them out completely because they had all the tools and they refused to listen. And that's a tough pill to swallow.
Well,
Yeah, for sure. Even until this day, I hear stories, from other investors, from other people that they have lost a lot of money because of contractors.
Mhm.
And man, you just gotta get, like I said, this year is a learning experience for me when it comes to learn the ins and outs of the flip. And I think you just gotta have people that you really trust, that it's gonna work with you hand on hand. And then you cannot disregard all the flags that that you're seeing. You cannot disregard them because that's
Yep.
what happened to
That's
us.
what
We
happened to us.
disregard the flags and we let it slide, and at the end, we end up with the big loss.
Yeah, that's crazy. You mentioned doing mentorship. Do you guys actually do classes and mentor people, or is it just like something that you started talking about recently? How extensive is that?
Want to go ahead?
Yeah, we do. We do one-on-ones to begin with. Well, Diego, I'm the one who sets up everything, he's the one who actually does the one-on-one. And then he also,
We do the one-on-ones.
oh, yeah. But I mean, like, for example, if somebody from out of state wants to get mentor, he's the one who will travel to do the one-on-one. So,
oh, you travel to the person.
he travels if the person is from out of state, but if they're here, obviously he does the one-on-ones here. But he's already traveled a couple of times for the mentorship to California and to Texas.
That's incredible.
So
That's really cool.
it's very personalized, I would say. We
Yeah.
want them to have success. So at the beginning, it's very one-on-one, and then later on, they get into a group where all the students get together, and we just continue to teach what we're like learning. Like for example, now that he's learning hands-on, like he'll teach everything that he's doing based off of that week or whatnot, or just from A to Z to their first flip.
That's so cool. That's incredible.
That is really cool. So someone who joined your program with like no experience, right? And they don't have that strong mindset that you guys have. But that's something that you teach in your mentorship as well, right? What do you think is like the biggest like mindset shift that someone starting out needs to have?
I think you got to overcome your fears. We have seen it over time with the students that we give them all the tools. And that's something that we were not doing at the beginning because or I guess I was judging us how a,
Ourselves, our
right.
progress or whatever
And
process.
I wasn't thinking that, mentality is a big part of, teaching students that you got to overcome your fears and you got to have vision. Without vision, there's no motivation.
Yeah, because one of the things that we also teach is how to find capital. Because one of the reasons that it's comfort zone, right? They don't want to get out of their comfort zone and the fear, and coming in and saying, "Well, I don't have any money." Well, we literally purchase property with zero out of pocket,
That's
and so
crazy.
we teach that to our students. But in order for that to actually happen, they have to take action and use their voice. They have to go out and speak to people. So fear keeps them a lot from doing that. It keeps them from finding that
Rejection.
money.
I think that we all have fear of rejection,
Yeah.
and I think that when we're teaching our students and how to go and talk to people, the biggest fear is rejection.
Yeah.
And I think
Mhm.
everybody has that fear, fear of being rejected.
Yeah.
And that's something that we work through. That's something that until today, we do it and we get rejected a
Yeah.
lot. But guess what? We still do it, because we have our vision, because we have motivation, and it doesn't matter of the no's, we're eventually going to find a yes. And that what keeps us moving. But yeah, I think that a lot of people, a lot of our students deal a lot with the fear and the fear of being rejected.
And so we're working now more with mindset. And we didn't do it at the beginning, but now we're like, okay, we need to incorporate like how we shifted our mindset and what we have learned. We need to also be teaching them.
Did you think that there was like a gap somewhere in what was available and that's why you kind of created something like the mentorship?
Not that there was a gap, but we ourselves hadn't been mentored in that.
I see.
Yeah. So once we got a business mentor and they added mindset to it, we realized that we I guess we didn't realize that we were missing.
We learned that we were missing as well, that our mindset needed to change in order for us to have success. And that is one of the things that until today we're still, teaching ourselves to overcome our fears and to face rejection. And that's one of the biggest lessons that we teach in our mentorship.
How do you decipher fear and risk? Like, because obviously sometimes things can be risky and you're like, ooh, I don't know if I should do that. But is that fear or is it a red flag? Like, how do you decipher the two?
It's a good question. I don't know. That's a good question. I guess I don't
I
have
went
the
off the cuff. Sorry. I was just real curious.
I don't have the answer for that.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, without everything is a risk, right? I think that in any business, without
Yeah.
taking a risk, there's no reward. How do I measure I right now at this point, I have a really my level of risk is high, you know? Why?
Hmm.
Because I'm young, because I have the vision of building something for my kids, for my family. And I take a lot of risk. How do I measure it? I don't know. I measure it by numbers, you know, like it doesn't
Hmm.
make sense. Does it make sense to actually purchase a property that I know is going to take me months, that I know that I'm going to put a lot of work into it, a lot of money into it, but at the end of the numbers make sense, like I said before, I think I'll do it, you know?
Mhm.
I don't know if
This
that was a good answer for your question.
no, and we might have to wait until she comes back, but like, is there ever like a situation where like she's super excited about the property and you're running the numbers and you're like, okay, I think this could work. Like it's close, but like she's like, I have a vision. Like, can we just do it? Has there been moments like that?
Oh yeah,
All the
especially
time.
Yeah.
like for example, we run an Airbnb,
Okay.
and so I want to have a lot of them. I'll present a property to him, but it's like no, like he'll be like it's not gonna work, but I'm like, but it's so pretty, it's perfect. Everything like I don't know if he's already said it, but it's a numbers game,
Yeah.
and you have to make sure that the numbers make sense. I mean, even when we do flips now, I want to add, a different like countertops or a color. Like just last week, I was telling him there's an arch in a specific property, and I'm like, in that arch, I want to have tiles and I want to have, these things. He's like, no. And you can hear him in the video where he's like, no. And it's like, okay. So like those are the kind of like fights that we have
Yeah.
when it comes to, but I mean, sometimes at the end he'll make it work. And there's other times where I'm just like very bummed about it because I'm like, I wanted to paint the whole house a certain color. I wanted to, you know what I mean?
I feel like
I
as women, sometimes we have that
I was gonna
intuition,
say
though.
that. Yep. I was gonna say, as a woman, I think that that's probably pretty handy to have a man who are usually more like grounded. So we have feelings. Not saying that you like that you're not a ground. I'm very grounded, but still, there my emotions. I'm like, oh, this is cute. We could make it nice, and my husband has to be like, no, like not happening. God damn
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I think that that's something that I learned, you know, not to involve my feelings into the
Feelings.
business
Hmm.
because of making decisions with our feelings,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, take us
No, that makes
to
sense.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because for the most part, we kind of have like our colors. Like you know how there's a lot of people out there flipping and putting gray colors, right? Well, we don't
Oh, we
have the
know.
gray. We don't choose that gray. We try to stay within a white with a tinted white or something, or just kind of leave it to where the next person can come and vision put their own color.
Yeah, keep it
Yeah.
neutral.
Yeah, keep it neutral. But like, there's times where I'm like, okay, I want to paint the trim and the roof and the everlast. At least let me have one room that has a
Yeah.
color. And he'd be like, no. I'm like, oh,
Could
but
you supplement that for your Airbnb though? Because like Airbnb is kind of like creating experience instead of thinking of an end buyer. It's more or less making it a good experience for people. Do you get your fix there?
so no, not yet.
But Malu, you do all kinds of cool stuff at your Airbnb.
Yeah. So then in that part, I get creative with like having workshops at my Airbnb or having, like Galentine's or,
Yeah, yeah.
Christmas things.
Okay.
But like when it comes to like, if I wanted to paint a whole room in a specific color to have a theme, like he hasn't allowed me to do that yet because, for example, when we're gonna sell, it might
Yeah.
not sell because it has a pink room. You know what I mean?
Sure do. I had an Airbnb once. They destroyed our house and I was done with it after that. But when we bought it, they had created it for an Airbnb. Initially, they did not have luck, so they sold it, but it was all pink. And we went right in and painted it. And it did great on Airbnb until like it wasn't football season. And then that was not great. So
Yeah, you just have to be like creative when it comes to like Airbnb. Like I already have like my whole vision for my next one, which he's okay with this one, but I just haven't found the perfect property for that.
Yeah.
If you come up, I think themes are kind of a thing right now when it comes to that. But with Airbnb, you can get like so creative because I have an Airbnb in Goshen, and
Mm,
yeah, my season people still come to Goshen to go to the football game in Notre Dame. They don't mind the travel that is like 40 minutes, but I I also get creative in the listing, like of things that they can do around the area, and
yeah.
yeah, I
That's
still think
interesting.
that Airbnb is very profitable. I don't think I would ever not do it.
Yeah. That makes sense. I stayed in some shit ones in California and I was so mad. But
I haven't had great luck with them myself.
yeah.
I know
I'm
your
starting
story.
to think
Yeah.
I'm the problem.
Our Airbnbs, we ended up getting in late on a Saturday evening to California, and there was bodily fluid all over all of the couches. Like, we could not sit anywhere. We were confined to our bedrooms because the furniture it was gross.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
they refunded us and they're like, you can leave the next day. And I'm like, okay, cool. So we did, and we should have checked in at 2:30, like check in instead of waiting. But it was Easter. We were having fun with family. So we didn't get there until like 9, and there was enough hair on that floor to fill a head. And with an hour of white socks, our floors were filthy, leftover
Yeah.
loofahs. I mean, it was
And that's
disgusting.
the problem when they trust a company that maybe they don't have a relationship with. I personally
Correct.
yeah.
clean my own Airbnb, so my
Hmm.
guests would never have that problem with me
Yeah.
because I mean I am literally there like picking up every single hair, making sure because I don't want to.
No,
Right.
you have to. I feel like that's
Yeah.
what you have to do because I mean, that's enough to gross me out for sure.
It was disgusting. I
But
cleaned
yeah,
my own Airbnbs too because I was very picky and I didn't trust anybody.
that's the
So,
reason I don't want an Airbnb is
hmm
because I don't want to do that
yeah.
We
personally.
had a crazy story where one of our guests left a gun
A gun,
left a
yeah.
gun in the house.
I would
Yeah.
be afraid to touch
Shit.
it. How did you like dispose? I would just be afraid to like put my fingerprints on it because who knows what.
They realized it within like
An
20
hour.
minutes, an hour. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
maybe an hour.
Because they were already
Oh,
far
they
away.
had already driven like an hour.
Yeah.
And they message and they're like, we forgot something. But the story was that he was a sheriff and that's why he carried it with him. So I don't know if that's true because I wouldn't even know what it looked like for a sheriff to have a specific kind of, you know?
As a
Yeah.
sheriff, I feel like you kind of have to have that on your person at all times.
Like,
Not
how
like
careless is
land.
that? Just a sheriff leaving your shit everywhere. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems a little wild.
Yeah.
Very
That
wild.
was wild for sure.
Whew.
Yeah. Crazy.
So I'm going to ask you guys just a couple more quick questions. I think it's really important because you guys are such family people. And I know that you guys are obviously raising a larger family. So I was wondering, how involved are your kids in like what you guys do?
The real estate, actually, my oldest he's 13 years old, and last week was
Oh,
spring break.
spring break.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, did you want to go and work with me on the side job?" She's like, "Yeah." So I took him because I want him to experience now, what's to be in real estate,
Hmm.
Hmm.
even though he wasn't doing like hard work, he was just cleaning up,
It was hard
but
for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right. It was hard for him, and he earned money, and I guess that's the lesson that I want to teach, that if you have a good working ethic, you get to earn money, but if you work with your mind and with your you can make more money.
Yeah. I think that's an
That's
incredible experience.
Yeah, that's really cool to be able to instill in them like everything that you've learned, like all of your trial and your errors, and kind of just be
Yeah.
able to like feed that to a person. I think about that a lot. Like for me, one day, like I am excited just to like download all of my thoughts into someone, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I probably need to work through that, but just like, all the mistakes I made, like here, you can do it this way, and here's an easier path. But that's really cool. I'm excited for them.
Yep.
So, what does the future hold for Diego and Malu, business wise and personal, both?
We're still building, we're still building
Yeah.
the future, but I do want to say a lot of success for
Success,
sure.
millionaires
Yes, maybe in a different state.
in a
Who
different
knows?
state. Yeah.
What state would intrigues you right now?
We have about 3 states, but we don't want people to know what state we're wanting to move to yet, other than our
That's totally fine. Yeah. Yeah.
people, but definitely somewhere not cold.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't
Don't
blame you.
blame
I
you.
think about that every day.
Yeah.
But with that, I don't want to say that. I want to say that the Midwest is one of the best market to invest
So
for.
Interesting.
Okay. We recently learned that South Bend, Indiana has the highest property taxes in the state. Unrelated, but obviously I'm still salty about that.
well,
So,
they went up a lot to for yeah, for sure. But
It's
like people
crazy.
can investors, I mean, I'm sure you guys know investors since 2020 came and bought a lot, from investors from California, from Chicago, from all
Yep.
over. They came and they bought a lot of properties here for rental and flips. There's still a lot of
Yeah, there's a lot of out of state people that comes from a lot of
yeah,
people from
that are
California come.
investing in South Bend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
that's crazy. There was a bill that was trying to be passed. It was down southern Indiana that like if you're an investor, you can only have so many rentals within a specific city, I believe, or a specific county, I think is what it was. And I know that there was a lot of pushback on that too because this is how you guys make money. Like rentals, investments, flip, whatever that situation may be, like to put a cap on any aspect of that is just wild to me.
Yeah.
I
And
will
our
say it was a pain in the ass in 2020, though, being outbid by cash buyer investors. Like
yeah,
that drove me
oh yeah.
nuts. But regardless,
Yeah, our first rental property that we got in 2020, we also offered more than what right, than what they were asking. It was obviously we look at it now like, man, it was kind of like a mistake, but we still profited because we had to become very like strategic, different strategies like doing a rooming property, charge per room or
mm,
person or whatever. We had to get very strategic to be able to get profit out of the property. Back in the day, yeah, we had already placed I don't know how many houses, and they were beating us, right?
A
Because they were
lot.
yeah,
just yeah, the investors were just they didn't care. They
yeah,
came from Cali. There was nothing for them to come and buy houses over here to keep as a rental. So it was hard back
yeah,
then. Right now, I think it's easier right now.
I do want to say that 2026 this month, regardless of whatever is happening out there in the world, was and it still is one of the greatest way to make money. Real estate has always been
yeah.
a tangible way to create wealth for sure.
Yeah.
I do
I
not
like to
disagree.
think about that too, just because obviously we're not huge investors. We have one property, but even so, like we bought that 3 years ago and we're already going to make money just from selling it and we did nothing to it and it's been paying itself off. And so I think about that a lot. And it does make me want to do more, but I think I would have to like have you guys hold my hand while we did a flip because Aries has been talking about it lately. And I was like, not without Diego Malu because I can't. There's no way.
They have mentorship.
They do.
So there you
Some
go.
well, something I will say too from working with them is just like walking through a house now, nothing scares me as much. I'm
Yeah.
just kind of like, oh, okay, because obviously, like I've seen things with you guys and going in house with Diego. I'm like, did you see that? He's like, oh yeah, I saw that. That's this, and this. I'm like, but did you see that? Yeah, that's all coming out, and I'm like, okay, so it makes me more confident as an agent because I learn from them, but also like I'm like, oh, well, anything's fixable. Like they
Yeah.
take it down to nothing and build it all back up.
Well,
So
that's a great point. From I never
Saw it that way.
saw it that way, but yeah,
mhm.
that's a great point you have.
Yeah, I really like working with you guys.
Yeah.
Well, we like your
But
videos
yeah.
too.
Thanks. Okay, so last question. This one was so deep. I was really excited to ask this one. But when people look at your story years from now, when you guys are millionaires, what do you hope that they say about how you built it?
It's a
Well,
good
when we were
question.
thinking about that, like me personally, I was just thinking about how we are working together like as a family, and like when I mean like in every aspect, like even when we travel outside to get mentored, we take our kids, obviously not the ones that are in school, but we take our kids, our little ones with us, and they're there with us like every step of the way. So I would like for people to say like they did it even with a family. They didn't put an excuse. They didn't put that their kids were an excuse because
Mm-hmm.
it's not. You can do business having children. Like, it shouldn't stop you from, doing what you want to become. So I think that for me, that would be something that I would like to people to say like, man, they did it and they did it with kids. They didn't say that was an excuse.
Mhm.
Amen.
For me, is that we took every opportunity that came to us, and that it's not about us. That's the reason why we choose to mentor other people, to help other people. That we are creating synergy, with other people. It's not about what we can do for ourselves. It's about how do we give it back? How do we give it back
Mm.
to other people so the other people can learn and see that there's other ways to find financial freedom. I
Mhm.
think that's how I want to see other people
That's
to remember me
yeah.
as a couple that created that synergy.
I love that so much.
I've written down so many quotes. Like I have 2 pages worth of stuff
Yeah.
that you've said. So that's incredible. You guys are very
Thank you.
inspiring. So,
Thank you.
I mean, I am interested in flipping as well too. So if I have questions, I'm definitely going to reach out to you guys as well because what you
Thank
guys have built is truly amazing. And I wish you guys nothing but the success in your first year full time. So
And I was just telling Diego before the podcast, like, man, I mean, real estate agents really already have what it takes because they already know that part of like,
you.
yeah, the business, where to buy a property, really, because you know where not to buy. And that's
yeah.
important. That is really important, like where not to buy. And you guys already know when it comes to the big decisions like roof, HVAC, windows, all of
Hmm.
those things are the first things that we look at. You guys just need, everything else around it. And I'm like, and I wish the agents would see how much money they're like sitting on because they can get into the MLS and see all these properties that investors
Yeah.
we can't see because we're not agents. You know what I mean? You guys already have a big step in there.
That's that fear thing you were talking about earlier.
I do feel like there's so many investors in this area. I feel like I personally have a hard time finding them in the MLS. Me personally, like I know Eris does some digging, but I feel like what's left is like the garbage that nobody wants. But I don't know.
But just remember, it's all about numbers. If the
Hmm.
numbers make sense, it doesn't matter. I mean, you can buy $1 million house, sell it for more if
Hmm.
it
That's
the
true.
numbers make sense. Like, yeah.
At the end of
True,
the
Remember
day,
that
true.
it's all that
house on
matters.
13th Street? How much it
Yeah.
for?
Yeah.
That one blew my mind. Like you guys did really good on that one. That was awesome. I wanted you guys to share where can people find like your mentorship, like if they're interested in getting started with you guys and learning and taking the next step. How can they find that?
Yeah, we use our social media so
Mhm.
they can message us through IG or Facebook at Diego Leos. Diego, yeah, Diego.
It's just
Diego
Diego Leo.
Leos. Diego Leos. Or Leos Real Estate Investing
I love that.
in IG.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for
Thank you for
coming
having us.
on. And
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Any final thoughts or anything that you want people to know about you guys or what you do?
No, just that I believe that there is a different way than having, working with your hands, having your 9 to 5 and waiting to retire. You can retire whenever you want if you set your mind to it.
Right. That real estate, there's a lot of opportunities. You don't have to do it the traditional way. Even the trade right now, it's huge. I mean, if I would have knew about the trade when I came to the United States and the whole home improvement business, I mean, there is a lot of money out there. So for anybody, I mean, nothing against corporations, nothing against 9 to 5s, but if you are looking for a way out earlier in your life, real estate is the way to go for sure.
Mic drop.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
guys. I
Thanks
hope
for
you guys
Yeah.
having
have a
us.
fantastic week.
Enjoy the
Thanks.
sun.
Yes. All right, guys, that is all we got for you today. I hope that you learned something from this. I have, like I said, 2 pages worth of notes that I wrote down. So if you learned something from this, I would love to know in the comment section, what was your biggest takeaway from this episode?
Oh, I have so many. I'm
I
so
know.
happy that they were finally able to be on.
Be sure to follow our social pages. We are on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I know our social media needs some love, but in the meantime, you show it some love while we work on being lovable. Emily, our marketing girl for Brickbill, has given us some great ideas. So I'm really hoping that we can kind of step into that. But in the meantime, follow all of our shit. Also, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. You need to follow us.
And we have an Amazon storefront that has all of our favorite things, business, personal, pop buys, all of the things. And so you can go and shop there for our favorite things that we reference.
Whoop whoop. Also, we have a promo code.
Oh, yeah, we do.
You want to talk about it?
Yes. If you are podcast listeners and you like Hustle Humbly podcast, which is like the king of real estate podcasts,
Queen,
you
queen,
the
queen.
queen, sorry. You can go to their website, hustlehumblypodcast.com. You can shop their courses and use code after hours to get $100 off.
Whoop, whoop. Big balla.
Yup.
All right, guys, we will see you next week.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.